the Prime Minister celebrated the International Yoga Day at the lawns right outside the United Nations. It was a world record as well. There was a certification of getting a congregation of a great number of nationalities. I have with me Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi. She's the Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture. Ms. Lekhi, thank you so much for your time. Not just the United Nations, but also setting a world record. What do you think is the message that is going out with an event like this?
See, with an event like this, the message is recognition of Indian value system across the globe, for which our ancestors were responsible, our rishis were responsible, our heritage, which is for the benefit of the mankind, and humanity by and large gets to be benefited, especially when we are discussing sustainable development goals and a world doesn't know which way to move. Disruption of supply chains during pandemic, and one small thing, an intervention like yoga, can help people to achieve the balance between their mind, heart and soul, including their body, to do the right thing and to achieve that balance. Yoga is the best format. So it's a positive aspect of intermingling with nationalities and people who usually will be looked at with differences, but here is something which unifies all, and that is well-being of all, is what we believe in.
Right. Ms. Lekhi, now I want to talk about this visit itself. According to you, in the government, what is your view on perhaps the realistic potential of achieving what India wants to achieve from a visit like this? What is the realistic potential from a trip like this, from a visit like this?
So there are, one will have to wait and watch. So there are some long-term goals, there are some short-term goals, and there are some immediate goals. So if you divide it into three categories, immediately one will be able to benefit by upping the visibility in the international workspace, to beginning of certain collaboration and cooperative exercise when it comes to rule-based order. 3, when India is becoming economy of the scale it is becoming, and the transparent working methodology which India has adopted over 9 years, the world wants to collaborate and co-opt us. And we also wish to be co-opted so that technology transfer and various things happen in the interest of the country. So these are broader frameworks when it comes to defense technology, space technology, various areas of collaboration and cooperation are possible. In addition to the fact that there is a very powerful diaspora, Indian diaspora, which is well respected and recognized by the American society. So a recognition which comes positively to India, and the Prime Minister of India is called to Congress to deliver the address, and there are people, eminent people present in that gathering. It sends a very positive message, and it brings a sense of pride and dignity to most people in the country and outside the country who relate themselves to the well-being of India and Indians, and especially being represented by somebody like the Prime Minister of India. It's a sense of satisfaction and confidence in the minds of people of Indian origin and Indians by and large. On the practical side, immediate recognition. Immediate recognition is one, beginning of certain conversations, and some achievable doctrines which will be there.
Right. Now, Ms. Lekhi, I'm going to come to some questions related to your role as the Minister of State for External Affairs in just a short moment, but you are also the Minister of State for Culture. Do you feel that in terms of, one is of course the aspect is economic gains with an Indo-US tie-up, but the other is us leaving some sort of a strong geopolitical footprint in the world. We are positioning ourselves as a leader of the global south. This partnership,
Absolutely.
this partnership is a big state visit. An important Washington DC leg of the Prime Minister is going to begin now. At a time like this, events like yoga, reaching out to people of different communities, countries, and also the diaspora. What importance does this play? Because I feel that this is a very staple event in all big international tours of the Prime Minister.
So, the greater understanding that people can develop amongst themselves is people-to-people connection, but more importantly, where your belief system and faith comes from, and the confidence with which you can discuss and talk about subjects. India, for once, I think we are the oldest civilization in the world, and we have not really been speaking about it. And it's not as if people did not want to listen to us. People may have lacked in their understanding because we never spoke about ourselves and we never made people understand what value system is coming from and what is the logic behind. Now, when Prime Minister of India says, Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi, which means while India will progress and adopt Western methodologies in terms of infrastructure development, space, science, technology, etc., but we will also recognize Indian heritage. Because till you recognize your heritage, till you are a successor to a great civilization which has done good to the world, which has brought positivity, prosperity to everyone, which was a science and technology based society, which had positive faith and enforcement of positive regulations, need to be respected by all. And yoga is one big step in international diplomacy, because what is yoga doing? Yoga is basically working for well-being of all and is also keeping suffering and ailments away at no cost or at low cost. So whichever way we look at, especially after pandemic, yoga has only added to the branding of India. While people continued to do yoga, but the branding was not happening, and it is India's gift to the world. So people need to understand that it is India, it's also representing India's value system.
Sure.
So one of the earlier steps which PM took when he became the Prime Minister, in 14 this was a resolution moved. By 15, International Day of Yoga was supported by 172 countries. In a very short span of time, UN resolution got passed, and that showcased what the Indian value system is and the strength of our system.
Okay.
And recognition, global recognition, also brought 172 friends on board. So that was an achievement.
Okay, Ms. Lekhi, you see, this
Similarly,
event happened.
Year of the Millet, for example, even that
Correct.
was about sustainable development.
Yes, yes, and that was mentioned also in the Prime Minister's speech. You're correct about that. But see, you see, this event happened at the United Nations in the lawns right outside the building. Now, at that very United Nations, you see a nefarious Pakistan-China nexus. For instance, Sajid Mir, mastermind of 2611, UN wanted sanctions and designate him as a global terrorist, and yet China used its veto power to first stop and then block, this resolution. So do you feel that this is also going to be one of the challenges which we need to meet to get the global order together, to perhaps isolate this Pakistan-China nexus at that very United Nations?
So there are two aspects to this. One is that global order, ever since UN was formed, is not the present order is not representing the present day reality. Number two, UN needs to see certain reforms and express present day reality. India is today one of the most populous nations in the world and a growing economy, member of G20 with 5th largest economy. Now, India, if a body does not represent the two value which India brings on the table, then that body is missing the very goal it is sought to be created for. That's number one. Number two, We also represent the global south because we are a large population and we are expressing our aspirations, the needs, the requirements, and even for the developed nations, it is better to coordinate, cooperate with the developing south, because that's where, if investment is brought on to the right subjects, will bring peace and harmony for the globe at large and well-being of all mankind, in addition to adding value to the investments, which only India can express in a rightful position, because we represent both north and the south, and we are the rightful bridge between the two. We are a rightful bridge between east and the west, because on one side we are an eastern civilization, on the western side we have a very formal legal system, we have rule of law, we follow democracy. Every 5 years you have elections, peaceful transition of power from one hand to the other. People get to express themselves differently at different points in time. A very robust society which celebrates diversity and is unified on most fronts. So,
Sure.
Keeping all this value system, India is in a very strong position.
All right.
The third aspect, so India has to be seen on that high table. The third aspect is China is exposing itself by engaging in the activities China is engaging, and people at the end, whether because of their former dependence on the products and things and their policies which have existed in the past, are taking a note of this fact that working with a non-transparent system does not bring value, does not add value, and in addition to the fact, a non-democratic country, in addition to the fact that many things which have happened in the past, supply chain mismanagement, pandemic, so on and so forth. So people are getting more and more wary of working with China. So whatever China may do today, I think it goes to show how different India and China are, and what value is added when you work with India, and that is our message as well, and that is where the world is taking a note of it.
All
and
right.
so far as Pakistan is concerned,
Yeah.
I think if you create a Frankenstein, you are the one who will be gobbled up. So if they have been party to terrorism and acts of terrorism, that society is suffering, and results are for everyone to see that if your mind becomes corrupt, the society has to pay for it. And law and order is the first casualty which people are suffering. Well-being is not going to happen. This was one of the richest areas of erstwhile India, and today look how degraded it has become.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, for joining us. Thank you so much.